assassin, the friendly force of destruction. It's Maki! One of the best in the world, never claimed a trophy of this magnitude. The uncrowned king, Nisha! A lot of threes in his name, but what's important is getting 3-0 in this best of 5. It's 33! No force, be it natural or biological, have stopped this man from winning. It's boisterous, fast, based, boxy!
And their eternal rivals coming to the stage, it's Gamin Gladiators! All tournament long, he's been cool and calm, but now he's finally here to collect. It's Quinn! Sometimes it's a throw, sometimes it's a go, but no matter what facet this man chooses, he's gonna be making some dough. DiRaggio! Don't let his diet fool you, because this man's a carnivore. Celery! The 4 position has never looked this good, and I'm talking about the gameplay. Tofu! And this man's responsible for shooting down so many enemies in his career, but now he's flying high after making it through the upper bracket. Ace! And for the last time, players, please take your seats and place your keys, as this may be your last chance to hold them. Nothing is granted, everything is earned. Riyadh, are you ready? Then let's get this grand final started!
The title for champion here at Riyadh Masters, live from the Esports World Cup. We're gonna find out in the upcoming best of 5, but perhaps you already have a couple of ideas about who will do better in this series. Make sure you get your predictions in www.stcplay.gg. You know the drill, you know the track record and the history with these two teams, these 10 players on stage. And I want to get into the nitty-gritty of this because we talked a little bit about, Celery makes them ban Enchantress and ENG. It's a best of 5. Everything changes in a best of 5 because you might want to, again, let them through. Have a plan against it, Kezu.
The thing is, you need to, like we talked before, whichever talk they had yesterday after the series is very important because it needs to lead them to the right conclusions, what they want to do. Because yes, when you play the best teams, you need to choose at least a couple of heroes you have to play against. Whichever ones you have the best plan against, whichever makes the draft feels the best and makes your players feel the best. So I cannot tell you whether they're gonna ban ENG and Chen. They struggled against it, last night. But maybe they feel like if we change something up, we can just play against it.
Yeah, I mean, I have a slightly different take for... There's always a weakness in the armor for every team, and I think for Gamin Gladiators, it is DiRaggio right now. He has played very few heroes successfully, mainly the CK. He's played pretty good on the Broodmother as well. And then what was the one other hero he was playing as well?
He played
Ursa.
Alchemist?
Ursa and Alchemist.
Ursa was the hero, so he has... And those heroes are not even close to a CK. So I think you really want to target Dyrachyo, put him out of his comfort zone, put him on a Dyrachyo moment type of hero right now. The CK is way too good on this team, and I feel like it should be auto-banned. See if you can get Dyrachyo to play something new for the team. When he played heroes like Wind Ranger and stuff like that in previous series, the team did not look nearly as good, so that would be my approach.
Yeah, the thing is, you don't want to overcorrect as well, and even though Dyrachyo's hero pool has been limited, I think it's very good in Nikkei's current hero pool too. We saw how he picked Ursa and Nikkei picked Razor anyway into the Ursa, where a lot of people would consider the Ursa a late game solution to Razor.
So what is the weakness in the armor of Team Liquid, or did Gamin Gladiators already kind of, you know, hit the mark there yesterday?
I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
I think they exposed them just hardcore when it comes to strategy and draft. I can't even tell you if they like really had a lot of weaknesses in their gameplay, because I feel like there wasn't actually that much gameplay to be had. At least that's my opinion when I watched this series they had yesterday.
Yeah, and I feel like they just went out of their comfort zone, and by that, more of like they tried a different strategy that didn't fit the bill of what they like to do. I think Liquid has a lot of like good heroes that they can play, like Sven, Doom, Beast, TA, even the Jakiro are very high win rate heroes for them right now. And they kind of went away from that and picking heroes like the Sand King. If 33 isn't playing an Aura hero, I don't know if I can believe in Liquid. I think that's pretty much what I boil it down to right now for them.
Yeah, but I think the Chen Enchantress bans can actually play to Liquid's favor if the Beastmaster doesn't get banned out by GG. Because we saw in the Falcon series, they did not ban out the Beastmaster after the Chen Ench bans, and they just take it. And honestly, it's by far 3-3's best hero this tournament. When he does get it, even if the lane is unfavorable, he will farm his way more efficiently than the other offlaner, regardless of the lane, and they'll play off of that timing so well.
I mean, there's Doom as well in the pool. Beast and Doom both made it through with Chen Ench.
I mean, there's obviously now, like, you will have a lot of damn good heroes that will be in the pool, so this is also where perhaps a lot of prep can, like, play into it. GG will just open up with a Jakiro, which has looked good. Wouldn't say it's anything, like, too spicy there, but for Liquid, other heroes that are open up that Gamin did not allow them to have last time is, for instance, the Monkey King, later on maybe a Morphling. So it's like, I'm just looking for Liquid to make sure that they get off with a good start. You know, have the heroes that make you feel good, that you can lane into them, and just play some good builds.
I would agree with that one. I think right now it's like you cannot let Liquid have too much of a lead in the early game, because they are one of the best teams in the world right now on Gamin Gladiators. If you do manage to give Gamin a good laning stage, they're going to take Roche, they're going to build every aura in the game, and then you have to somehow deal with that on the high ground, and that's not where you want to be. And Monkey King, this is great hero. It's very versatile. Mickey is incredibly good on this hero too, so it limits a lot of the options that you want to pick for just fitting your offlane right now, because most of the offlaners right now just don't enjoy playing versus Monkey. You want to be this strength, tanky guy that builds the auras, and Monkey definitely dissuades that.
It does, and it also kind of solves potential Sand Kings that are in the pool, because it can follow Sand King to either the mid lane or the off lane, which really is valuable.
It's also the fact that Nisha plays a good Monkey King too. I'm sure they would be the most happiest if Mickey just gets to play it in a good matchup, but like Fear was mentioning, it's not that easy for Gamin to like kind of craft an offlane where you feel really good about it. Beastmaster, of course, is a great hero, but can struggle against Monkey King. Maybe there's stuff like you can try to bust out some Visage combo in the offlane. It's not something that many people play, but Monkey King is a hero that needs to be addressed. This hero goes rampant in games where he has a good early game.
You know what addresses Monkey King? Just Enchantress. That's simple. I mean, Gamin loves the pick anyway. She can enchant to dispel the Jingu stacks on Monkey King, can follow him to lane if he's position 4 as a position 5, and is overall a general nuisance for this hero. Another hero that I think should be looked at when you talk about Zoo lineups and auras is pure damage. So we were theorycrafting Timbersaw earlier in the first series. It didn't look good because it lost, obviously, but there's potential for something like that too.
I mean, that matchup is just so volatile, right? It can look really good, or it can look really bad. It just really just depends on how the laning stage goes there. And we'll see what the next ban into pick is going to be here. We still are waiting for supports.
Sand King gets banned out anyway because they have the Monkey King on Team Liquid, which means that their Sand King can essentially be protected. I also want to talk about the heroes we saw Nisha play yesterday, right? We saw him on the Tiny and the Pango. We saw the Pango today, and both of those heroes looked really good for him. Did TL give up on their Tiny idea because they lost with it yesterday, or are they potentially going to run it back here?
I could see them skip the Tiny, but Pango is too good. I think this hero, he's tanky, he's universal, you build a lot of stats, gives you a great team fight, minus armor, whatever you want. I really like, at least so far, what's happening for the Liquid in this draft.
Same.
You have your Monkey, you feel great. Boxy on his Morphling, I feel like this +4 Morphling is incredibly strong, perhaps even underrated. So, honest, they must be feeling good right now.
Yeah, I mean, they could also flex this to carry if like some Gyrocopter comes out later, right? And I really like, as I said in the pre-show, this CK getting banned. I feel like if Gamin Gladiators gets this hero, Dirachi doesn't care what he plays in. I saw him pick it into like 5 counters. He didn't care. So I think this is most likely going to be Dirachi's hero, but Ace also is really good on it. So both these teams are being very open with what they're picking right now. Monkey King could be 4, could be carry, Morph. I mean, it's 2024, can be support, can be carry. So that's very interesting.
But the question is, the CK ban, that's an issue they clearly saw yesterday, but because of that, they give away the Brood. Now followed by the Chen too, which is something that they also struggled with yesterday. Do they have answers within the Monkey King plus Morphling? They don't, honestly. And now that the Brood is here, they need some form of AoE ground damage to either deal with the offlane Brood. But if you're building within your draft to deal with offlane Brood, you can just swap it to carry, and that hero is countered completely differently than an offlane Brood is.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to most likely put more. I mean, Morph can be played versus Brood. It does hit a weird spot where when you get spiders, you get kicked out. Monkey could be their carry, and they could just pick something in the offlane now that can deal with it. I've seen Slardar get picked a lot, but that's also another hero that's very good against the Brood Mother. I'm sure Team Liquid has some answers here, but the real question is, are they going to be able to answer this Brood while still staying in the architect type of picking auras and being able to 5-man? Because Gamin has shown you can try and stop them with a bunch of AoE team fight.
Yeah.
They just out-heal it.
Yeah, I mean, the Pango here, at least for now, is very good. I was looking for like some counter team fight. There's going to be a Jakiro Brood Chen running at you. What do you need against that? It's counter team fight, like Tide, Phoenix, Pangolier. So Pango already fits really well into that. I do now wonder if they're going to pick just maybe Insania's hero, then keep the rest like more open for later. Like, who's really what? Give last pick to 3-3. His hero pool could be kind of low, because there's a lot of offlaners already banned out. But I do like to see him Pango response here.
Yeah, they'll have to dig pretty deep. Like, there's still Underlord, there's still Tide, as you mentioned. A couple other heroes. What else has he played here? I mean, you don't want Visage at all.
Well, I love all these thoughts about the draft. Let's get some more in with Moon Meander, who's sitting down with Purge.
Hey Moon, you called the CM pick. What do you think about this draft so far?
I think this is heavily flavored for Team Liquid because Chen right now is countered by Pangolier, and Team Liquid is doing the same strategy they did against Falcons, where they banned the Weaver, put Wing and Snap, which means the last S tier 4 is Jakiro to win the lane for Ace, which is Gamin's bread and butter, is to win the off lane. However, the CM Monkey is really good answer to this Jakiro Broodmother, in my opinion.
All right, who's got the advantage right now?
With the Invoker pick, I still think it's Team Liquid because Invoker is not a good hero to Pangolier made, in my opinion. Pangolier is going to out-teamfight Gamin Gladiators lineup right now, so not only are they going to have not a strong off-lane this patch, they're also going to get out-teamfight this game, which is like opposite of what's happening all tournament long for Gamin Gladiators.
All right, thanks Moon.
Thank you both. With the Invoker pickup, he feels that Gamin Gladiators is lacking a little bit compared to Team Liquid Fear.
Yeah, I mean, I see that opinion being pretty valid. They're just, teamfight is going to be lacking, but they're definitely not lacking a bunch of damage mitigation heroes. Of course, Brood has own lifesteal, Chen buys all the auras. I'm sure they're waiting for this last pick to really decide how they want to wrap this up. As we mentioned earlier, this Brood could be their offlane, could be their carry. We don't really know. On the same side, I think we do have last pick on Team Liquid, right? So they will be able to choose, is this Morph the carry, is this Monkey a 4? And then that gives them a lot of options if they're already with that alone.
Well, I do think the Invoker doesn't give you like the most teamfight, and I like Pango into Invoker as well, but he gives you a lot of like teamfight movability, right? He can go to this Brood lane with the Chen, he can get a Vessel, he can kind of like offset the matchup potentially if there's some offlane Brood into the Monkey. So I will agree with a lot of what was said before, of course, with the draft so far, but there's so much like gameplay that also goes into these matchups that, you know, I can definitely see this Quinn Invoker go kind of ham.
Yeah. I mean, you could also just, I don't mind putting Pango offlane this game if you know Brood is carried as well. I feel like that's something that 33 does play, he'd be pretty comfortable with. I would just be interested to see what he builds.
You know, it would be cool if you are actually worried about the Pango flex to offlane, is that you could just like Bloodseeker, and the flex between Brood and Bloodseeker could be open. I think that's a very cool concept. Not sure if it'll come out here on the Grand Finals day, but they have done it before on GG, where they ran an offlane Bloodseeker versus Blacklist and won.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a possibility if they're really worried about the Pangolier. The only issue potentially would be, I don't know if Bloodseeker would just be good versus the Pango, so I guess you could take that out, but who's going to carry the game? I guess the Brood still could do it. Yeah, I actually kind of like that.
Yeah, I'm looking and thinking right now kind of what they want to go for, because the problem is you don't really know your matchup yet. Like, I'm thinking maybe there's like some... Slark is just such a bad hero and you have to pick a blind, so scrap that. Back to you, Fear.
I mean, sure, Ace doesn't play... Who was it, Mars at all? That's a hero that I felt could be okay against the Monkey King, but they're not something Ace plays a lot. So I kind of feel like Ace might play this Brood unless they... I just don't know what Ace hero they're going to pick that's good versus Monkey King and Morph. It doesn't seem like it exists. Like, Brood might be the best pick there.
And there's still the Ace Underlord, even if it's playing against Monkey King on lane. Maybe they just value it so much as a hero. But there's also Wind Ranger, which they could just decide to run on Durachio, and they could have it counter both the Pango and the Monkey King. Also the Bloodseeker idea that I'm pretty fond of, but...
That'd be really cool if they pulled the
optimistic about
Bloodseeker.
it.
If it's not the Bloodseeker, then I think he's playing the Brood on Ace. Because, yeah, I'm not sure if Underlord is... It's probably okay. It fits what they want to do, but it's definitely not something you're going to crush a lane with, and that's why they're really thinking about this pick. Do we just go with what's good? And they're just going to go straight into the Beastmaster here. They don't really care about the CM Monkey King matchup, and I think if you're in this position now, this CM Monkey King should feel really happy in this lane.
Are we still sure that Monkey King is going to be the carry?
I feel like they should.
He has to be your carry now.
Okay.
If you're not willing to pick CM Monkey into this lane, you might as well give up. Like, this is going to be one of the better lanes that are going to be handed to you. Of course, for Gamin, it will still give them what they want. Invoker can go there later. He's going to build auras. He's going to get the Ags and stuff like that. I mean, if I'm Liquid, I'm still looking. I don't know if there's any mid that like feels great. I feel like if I want to pick an offlane here, Tide still looks kind of cool. But they can also put the Pango offlane and look for like some Nisha.
Can they just play the Underlord? Is there a problem with that?
You could Puck versus Invoker, put Pango
Puck
off.
just got banned out. Gaming thought the exact same thing. They banned out 2 mid laners actually, so keeping the Pango on the offlane in their heads.
Yeah.
They will go for that Tidehunter, Kez. Good call.
I mean, I do think it just makes a lot of... They have like a very nice lineup so far. Like, you have Gamin who generally just have to run into you. If I'm Liquid, I'm super happy with my draft. Tide owns a lot of these heroes. The lane matchup can... I'm not super knowledgeable nowadays how it goes, but Tide should be chill there. You have your Boxy, Morphling. I feel like Liquid got everything they needed in this game to have a good draft. Sure, Gamin did too, but I actually favor Liquid in this draft.
Yeah, I mean, their draft is really good. The one thing about the mid matchup you might not know is the double jump gets canceled by Tornado, so that's why then Invoker's picked against it, so that helps a lot. So the mid matchup should be good for Quinn, but I think Team Liquid has a very good lineup that responds to what Gamin Gladiator has, and it does what it needs to do as far as have auras and stuff like that, but Gamin has a Gamin lineup. Will they just run them over? That's going to be the question for me.
I think this Tide pick is great because it kind of tanks a lot of things, right? It can stand in the middle of the Chen army. It can't get roared because it'll just dispel it, and it doesn't care about the Brood Orchid timing whatsoever. But I still think that Brood carry is incredibly powerful and has such a strong, like, 20-minute timing that even though TL's heroes can address it, they might not be able to address it fast enough because they're going to be very dependent on that Ravage to fight, which they really don't want in this game.
Yeah, to me, this game is a lot about like the first move. When Pango goes top, does Brood go through the gate? How does Liquid respond to this type of move? Who wins the first one? Because whoever wins that move is kind of going to have the whole tempo, but I believe in Liquid.
Will it be a high tempo game then? Or
it has to be.
It has to be.
Gonna be.
From both teams.
Every game of the series
we know
will be.
Gamin wants to do it. Whoa!
Disrespect.
I will say those odds are pretty favorable for Gamin Gladiators. And to be honest, they do have a good track record to go with it. Let's see how game 1 of this best of 5 is going to happen. But first, some words from Coach Blitz.
Hey Blitz, you guys got to open with the Monkey King. It gives you tons of flex potential and lane matchup advantages. Do you think it put Gladiators in a bad place during the draft?
Yeah, I mean, we like the hero personally. I'll always smash a monkey pick. I think they're aware of that too. They probably had some idea behind it, but yeah, we'll see if they're like giga geniuses or we have to readjust.
Do you think they adapted well enough, or do you think that the monkey's just gonna have too good of a lane?
I mean, when you play against Gladiators, you're pretty much just trying to avoid hitting the death ball timing, and Monkey's pretty good at that. So I can't say for absolute certain, but I think we're much more early game centric than we were in the first series, at least.
What about the Tide pick? We saw Spirit pick it a little bit earlier in the tournament, but it's kind of on and off good. Is it just good because of the Brood?
Yeah, and I think it covered both angles. Neta wanted to play it. You know, it's one of the offlaners that I think he's really successful with just in general. It has a nice lane against most of their heroes.
Are you worried about their massive summons between Beastmaster, Chen, Brood, and Invoker throughout? That's 4 out of 5. If they do get an advantage, is the game hard to hold back?
Yeah, I mean, every game against Gladiators in this tournament is kind of going to look the same. If you get overwhelmed at 20 minutes, you're just going to lose. Otherwise, their heroes slow down and it gets a little bit harder for them to kill. So we'll see what happens.
All right, good luck in the match.
Thank you. Cheers.
Gamin Gladiators and Team Liquid, two teams who seem to be tied together through a thread of fate. Having met every major finals of last year, they both failed in the year-end finals to take down Team Spirit. And after a quiet year for both teams, they have powered up and reached a peak just at the right time to match up against each other once again. But there is one team who is decidedly unhappy with their lot in this bit of destiny, Avery, and that has got to be Liquid. Having lost every single finals against Gamin Gladiators, their repeated nemesis, they just cannot seem to surmount. Are they going to be able to do it this time around?
I mean, it's maybe apropos that you are asking me that, as we have been there for many of those grand finals where they have fallen short.
We were there for the first one. The worst one, perhaps, where they got 3-0'd.
There have been a lot of ugly grand finals between these two teams, and all of them have gone one way in the end. Some would say second place consistently in Dota is a blessing. I think at this point for Liquid it is an absolute curse. They are hoping to overcome at this point. Second means nothing to them. It's just another notch on a belt of unsuccessful victories. So yet they find themselves here again at the summit of the challenge in Dota 2, which is Gamin Gladiators for them, trying to overcome all of those past demons. And there are a lot to overcome here as they will venture forth once more into a grand finals best of 5 versus their nemesis.
It is certainly going to take a lot of mental strength to be able to go up against the same team again and again and still be confident and hope that you are the better team this time around, especially after they got trounced so hard in the upper bracket final. I mean, that was hardly a series. Gamin Gladiators just had the freest walk to the grand finals that I think they've had the entirety of last year. They have made so many grand finals, but this one looked the easiest for them.
Yeah, that was one of those BO3s you play. There's 2 games and you got 3-0'd in it. That was a rough one. That's a loss that carried over to another series on another day. Liquid did strike back earlier today, found their groove again. This is a team that wants to play fast, wants to accelerate that early game, and they're up against the other team that has done it the most successfully in the tournament. That's going to be a real test again if they can adapt from that upper bracket final, learn from it, improve, adjust the drafts, adjust the laning. Because if we go back to that series, which, you know, we're going to maybe hype up the tension very quickly here, that series was about the lane phase. The first 10 minutes for Liquid, can you survive it?
Yep.
I don't want to start the series with can you destroy Gamin in that, because you were nowhere close in those 2 games. In a lot of those games, you got outplayed on the side lanes on support level, and in some of them, you just got cheesed out in those lanes. I go back to like the Dazzle pick versus the Ember mid. That lane did not exist for Nisha. I don't care how good Nisha is. If you put him in a position like that, there's nothing he can do about it. So you have to adjust the drafts here if you're Liquid to be able to combat what Gamin are throwing at you in the lane phase, and you have to up the quality of play so that you don't give away those free random support kills on the map. You know, you can't be 0-3, 0-4 on your 2 supports here if you're Liquid at 10 minutes and expect to combat that death ball that Blitz was talking about.
Yeah, and we heard the panel talk about, we heard the coach of Tundra, Moon Meander, talk about it, and we heard Blitz himself. It seemed like everybody is aligned that Team Liquid did draft themselves a better focus on the early game, a better focus on the lanes. In particular, it seems that this safe lane of theirs, people seem to think that it's going to go well. I'm not going to say it's going to go well just because, again, it's Gamin Gladiators. But Monkey King, Crystal Maiden, are you happy with that setup against what Gamin Gladiators have right now?
Before I talk about that, I just want to say we are at a point in Dota history where your 4 position can be a boots first morph lane and you're not going to get mass reported. Let's just take a moment to respect how far we've come in the Dota universe, that is a thing that does not get you put in low priority here. Instead, it puts you in a grand final.
That's right.
Never thought I'd see the day.
Dota truly is a beautiful game that is always changing, and you know.
In fact, I think I did do this a couple years ago, and I got reported for it. So maybe I was just ahead of the curve.
Sure, you can tell yourself that.
But I will say this Boxy Morphling has been a go-to for them over the course of this event, and I'm excited to see what he can do with it here because he has some really good spells to steal, particularly from that Jakiro, the Beastmaster, even Invoker can throw out some of these Quas-Wex spells early on in the game. He's my go-to player for Liquid to build the momentum and keep them in this early game. You were talking about the Monkey CM lane. I think Monkey is going to be a point of contention here between these two teams, particularly if the Monkey King is off to a good start in this game one, because he is a hero that can dominate the laning phase. Very resilient against a lot of the meta offlaners that are these big bruisers. They're just melee heroes. Sacks of meat you can get the Jingu stacks up on. Great matchups for the Monkey King, and he's a hero that takes that lane advantage and translates it into early map control by making some of the fastest rotations available for any carry. Really good gate rotations. You can make it off the Jingu, so he just snowballs from kill to kill to kill. It is a really nice hero to have in this game one for Liquid, because in theory it gives you a lot of pace, guarantees a good lane for Mickey, and that's exactly what you're looking for out of this carry role.
Yeah, if Duracio's hero of this tournament anyway is Chaos Knight, I feel like Mickey has got to be Monkey King. So we'll see if he's able to put it to work here. 33 is always limping back to his tier 1 tower. Duracio is just non-stop when it comes to the pressure on this offlaner. We talked about the importance of being able to win your lanes. It's very interesting to me that 33 opted for the facet that is much weaker in the laning phase. He opts for Krill Eater, which is a Tidehunter start where you are much weaker as an offlaner, and by the time you get to level 10, you're then to even stats, and then from there on out, Tidehunter is stronger than normal. But I would have expected, much like other Tidehunters of this tournament, for him to have gone for the other facet that builds up your Kraken shell.
Maybe he's just that confident in his matchups in this game. I mean, in theory, Tide is very good with the Kraken shell versus the Brood, and some of the other summons that Gamin are presenting through the Chen and the Beast. Though I will say Beast as a summons hero, I don't know about that one, right? Like, yeah, you have boars, but this hero is all about the axes, the roar, and the Ags buildup. So I think that matchup is not nearly as good for Tide as it used to be, but it's definitely a hero that can slow the game down and defend your towers. And that's what you're going to look to do with it here. So if that Tide gets through the early game, then the extra scale from the Krill Leader could compound here. Plus, you scale the model size, I mean, that just feels good, right?
That's true. Who doesn't love a big boy? Well, Quinn seems to be doing quite well for himself in the mid lane. Nisha really tried to put the screws to him early. We saw a lot of early harassment and chase down in lanes, but ultimately the Quas Invoker has been able to regen up and stay above and beating him now in CS. So, could be adding another hero to the pool, and any counter to Pango at this point is going to be a godsend for a best of 5, right? If you're sitting in the drafting pool, you're thinking about, okay, what do you got to deal with Pango, especially after watching that lower bracket final.
Gamin pulling ahead on 3 lanes here, doing quite well, and double Ghoul on this bottom lane. The Ghoul Assassins out in force today. Now, I would mention these for lore reasons, of course, Austin, but I would also mention them. This is some stacking regen reduction with the necrotic webs down here.
Yes, it is.
Like, there was a point where 33 had 0.9 regen on this lane, getting hit by the Ghoul and in the web. Just no extra sustain down here for this Tidehunter. He's getting his mana burned from the Satyr Creep, getting his regen reduced from the Ghoul and the necrotic web. This is not a fun lane for 33, just trying to survive it right now. And of course, the 4 position Morphling, I mean, he's a mid-game payoff hero, not really known for his lane prowess. Liquid just trying to get as much out of this as they can. As Gamin make the first rotation, they're going to head mid with the Jakiro, secure the power rune, take it away from Nisha. We'll need a bottle refill off the Crystal Maiden neutral creep suicide. Insania, he already knew that they were not going to win that rune, so he preemptively killed himself.
Throw himself to the neutrals, and TP's mid refill Nisha's bottle. Yeah, I mean, if the safe lane, when it comes to the safe lane of Liquid, being, trying to focus on making sure you don't lose lanes and some early aggression, the off lane is the antithesis of that for Liquid. A Krill Eater Tidehunter and a 4-position Morphling. They better hope this safe lane is able to pay out, and it's not right now. It was going well early, The rotation comes out from Celery, though, as the Chen, and they are going to take this tower very, very early. They cannot do anything to mirror this pressure. The Broodmother is still free farming.
An uncontested move off the Chen for Celery, and we saw this in a lot of those other games for Game. And if the Chen gets off a few of these rotations that work, suddenly he's level 5 or 6 earlier than you want, and the snowball just starts to escalate incredibly fast. That is a very fast tier 1 that just went completely uncontested. On a lane that Liquid, I think, were hoping to dominate a bit more here. Didn't get any of the early kills out of it. You didn't get any extra XP for this Crystal Maiden, who invested a lot of resources on the lane. You're looking at that net worth for the Maiden right now on Unsania. You know, that is regen investment to try and get a payoff on the Monkey King. Just didn't happen there. Now he is going to be a creep on the map. Gamin can now look to make this rotation into mid whenever they want. Burn out some of the Pangoliers mana, maybe backstab with the Beastmaster Chen army. So the next move Liquid are going to have to think about in this game. We would love to have Rolling Thunder and Ravage up for these tower defenses. Those are long cooldowns, however, so you cannot waste them in a game like this, as Gamin are going to up the tempo, up the pace. The scan will connect, so Liquid are going to bring reinforcements.
Morphling's going to be first one in. And they're going to go for the kill on Quinn, trying to hit him. Shield crash, burns out most of the mana. They still have some to go, but look at the stuns raining in from the Golem, stopping Nisha. He just cannot, between the Cold Snap and the Golems, get off that Rolling Thunder. So the team fight spell is missing.
Extra armor here on Quinn. He's getting Frost Armored plus Divine Favored. This Invoker is not squishy at all, and you are now committing in. Still have the Rolling Thunder.
Try it again. Cold Snap stopping him time and time again. Quinn keeps on rebuking Nisha's attempts to get aggressive. Nisha's in big time trouble. Turns around, gets off the shield crash. Now gets off the Rolling Thunder. He has the shield for a little bit. It's just a bit stronger. Maybe enough to be able to help get that kill onto Quinn, who goes invisible. Oh, a Primal Roar bounces over